yet powerful foes. The desperate fighting program amongst high school students. A new legend is about to start.
May the manliest of all men come on down!
Nobody touches his precious Nanako, the sister complex kingpin of steel, Yu Narukami!
It's only natural.
Wage slave in the boonies by day, hero by night, Captain Resentiment, Yosuke Hanamura!
Everything that bores me has gotta go!
A spunky dragon with deadly legs, the carnivore who's discarded womanhood, Chie Satonaka!
You need to eat more meat!
Please escort me to the ring, my prince! The unconquerable Snow Black, Yukiko Amagi!
I'll finish you in one strike!
Blooming roses and bulging muscles, the blood-curdling beefcake emperor, Kanji Tatsumi!
Deep into realms of romance,
The body of a child, the brain of a genius, the 2,000 IQ killjoy detective, Naoto Shirogane!
Is this an army of idiots?
Fight and survive towards the one throne waiting at the end! The P1 Grand Prix where fierce fights will be fought! The battle begins tonight!
Hello everyone, welcome to the Proving Grounds where we are having an arena fight today in Persona 4 Arena. So I played this game quite a bit ago, quite a long time ago, and never got around to doing a review. And with a lot of Persona stuff and Catherine that we've been doing lately, I feel like maybe it's time to drag some of the older titles I didn't get around to doing a video of. So this is Persona 4 Arena, available on the PS3 and the 360. So it is a bit old. So first thing is to note, this is made by the people who made Guilty Gear and Blaze Blues, who are pretty well known for fighting games and that, obviously. So this game was originally an arcade game, which featured its own kind of simplified story mode. And then you have the console release, which we are looking at the PS3 version here, that had its own full-blown story mode. On top of that, you get a lesson mode that teaches you how to do attacks, score attack, training, a challenge mode, offline versus, online versus. You do have downloadable content, as in voice acting and a few audio type things, pre-throwaway content that wasn't necessary at all and could have just been the game, theater mode where you can save matches you've done, gallery mode where you can look at artwork, movies, and music within the game, and of course options where you can set up options and stuff. Now lesson mode does its job, but I still kind of like the one that was in Skullgirls. I think just everything was just very well done in that. So, but lesson mode does what it does. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like some giant analytic person over fighting games, because I am not a fighting person. I play fighting games. I'm just no expert and not a master of them. I don't have like hundreds of fighting games under my belt for going to pretend I know anything. But I will talk about some of the things I remember people being concerned with and things I can understand being concerned with. So there are status effects in instant kill in this game. Now before you're like, oh, nope. Instant kill can only be used on the final round that you're going to be able to win. So if it's 2 or more points, and essentially, let's say, you know, it's a 3-rounder and you just need one more win, you can use an instant kill and instantly win. And obviously in a tournament setting, that's pretty much likely to be banned instantly. And then several characters can do status effects like confusion, poison, and things. Teddy can actually produce an item that can heal, actually, oddly enough. So there's a few bizarre things like that, which I can also see some people making arguments about balancing, and like, I can see the case, but at the same time I'm not like that deep into like a tournament type thing to really be bothered, especially since While both this and the sequel still have online servers, they are essentially, especially this one, is super dead. So unless you specifically seek out someone else or get a friend to get a copy of it, servers for this are super dead. When I was playing the sequel, which is something I had played a lot more relatively sooner than a lot later like this one, I was able to still find online matches on that one. So, but this one is super dead, but it works. It's still functioning. It's just you're gonna find it hard to find anyone online on this one. But those are things I hold and I can understand being concerning in a fighting tournament-y kind of way. But the biggest thing I'm going to really talk about is the story mode. So to set up the basis of the story mode before we go into spoilers and stuff, just to set up the basis, this takes place like 2-3 months after Persona 4, and essentially the Midnight Channel comes back and it displays a arena tournament that's going to happen with the members of the investigation team. And then some of the investigation members have even went back to their normal lives and aren't even in anybody anymore. So the whole thing is weird and the team goes to investigate it. Is how the story basically starts out. And before I go further into that, I'll just give you my thoughts on the value you're getting here. So, this being an older game, you obviously can get cheaper, but I would value it at a pretty good $29.99 value. You're getting a really lengthy story mode that, while my opinion I'm going to go into is bloated, but very impressive at the same time, the fact that it has this insane, gigantic story. I've never seen a fighting game with even like 25% of the story that's available in this game. Like, it's just batshit crazy how fucking long it is. But you're getting a good lengthy story, so if you're a big Persona fan, you're definitely going to get your money's worth in the story department. The gameplay department, like I said, is a bit subjective, and I may have to just recommend looking for somebody who may specialize better on fighting game type stuff, because like I said, I admit I'm not a big fighting person. I play some, but you know, I'm not an expert on them, so this is generally going to be more of a review about the story mode and not just being honest about it. So, but you can find this game for around $5 to $10 used for the 360 and PS3, and if you want a sealed copy, it's around 20 bucks. Oddly enough, to my understanding from what I'm reading, they made the 360 version of this game work on the Xbox One, but not the sequel, which is very odd. You may want to double check that. That's just what I am reading from Google searches. I do not have Xbox One or 360 copy of this to test that, so I'm just warning you, you might want to double check that just to make sure, but that is what the internet tells me. So let's go into spoilers. So in the story mode, so on the P4 cast, because you got P3 characters in this too. On the P4 cast, you got Nota, Yukiko, Yu, who was the MC of 4. You have Yusuke, Yomake, Maki, Trash Band, Bing, Kung Fu Dragon Ball Guy, Chie, Kanji, Teddy on the P4 team. And on the P3 team, you have Mizuyuki, me and pronouncing names like Mitsuo. You have Aigis. Aigis is like my favorite fucking character from P3. Elizabeth also appears along with Akihiko, and then you got the new character Lapis, which you learn in before the P4 cast storyline. The P3 cast had a shadow weapon store, which is Lapis. And it's taken to Inaba, which is what kickstarts the story, and they get involved in the tournament that the P4 cast get drawn into the TV world. So, how the story goes is you have a small way of characters to pick from, and you play through the stories, more characters get opened up, and you get a lot of cliffhanging moments that you get to save at and then come back to as they unlock opening them. Now, not all these stories are canon. Some characters have joke endings that don't lead to anything actually good, but maybe a ha-ha. And you're playing from the perspective of the character you're playing as, which conflict with some of the storylines of other characters who are more understandably the canon storyline of the story. So there's a lot of filler in this story mode that bloats the story. And Labyrinth's story, which is actually like the most lengthy fucking story in the game, while incredibly interesting, sad, and makes you just fucking feel so bad for her because of how her life was, which really details what's going on with her shadow, which is the mastermind who's being puppeteered by even a higher mastermind, which is who you get to encounter in the sequel to this game. So we're not going to go into who that mastermind is, but they use Labyrinth's shadow and all her pain and agony from her past to orchestrate the events of this game. And you get to learn all the insane shit why her shadow's so fucked up and shit, but it's super fucking long. Super long, and it uses very basic visual novel, having their profile images come with very little animation, and it's a real shame because they did a real good job with the sprite animation and everything, but there's not a lot of interactions in the visual novel storytelling. The story, I liked the story, but if you want a lot more flair, because I know there's a lot of people who really hate the story just because it is so bare minimum visual novel-y. And I can understand the criticism because they could have done a little bit more flair, just a wee bit more. But I still enjoyed the story, so it was enough to carry me through. But I feel like they could have literally cut half of this bloated out story from a lot of the side characters and made it a lot less like having the joke endings could even just stay in. They could have made it more like, you know, you kind of just participate. So like, say, let's set up a hypothetical. Let's say Chie gets to have a fight with I don't know, just somebody, and just I guess when you really do that setup, it means somebody has to start off as a loser. I don't know. I mean, you could still have a few alterations, but it just feels like there's too many alteration side stuff here that just doesn't really matter in the end. The story just was way bloated. But like the simplification of what the canon story is, I really did enjoy it. You might be wondering what causes the characters to fight each other, since, you know, the majority of them are friends with each other. So aside from P4 meeting P3, there shouldn't be a reason for them to fight each other. But there is a lot of conflicting confusion from their perspective. Like, Teddy is set up to be the host when they see the show on the Midnight Channel, and we say is with him, which confuses the cast. And then when they go in, when they meet each other, they are very mean and cruel to each other and picking on each other's weaknesses that they overcame during P4's storyline, or for the P3 cast, weaknesses they displayed during P3 or while growing up from there. And what's happening in there is they're using like illusionary trickery for them to heal bullshit. So it's just kind of a cheap setup for it, but I can go with it. You know, I'm not gonna nitpick everything to the absolute end of that. But my biggest problem is just how there was just so much side crap. But learning of Lapitz's painful past of how she was used to. She's like a prototype shadow weapon. They basically just send them to kill each other and kill each other and kill each other, and then essentially was like killing her family. So like she has a lot of mental painful memories from that. So it's kind of interesting to see how she built up a character and friendship at the end of the storyline from this. So I really liked it, and I liked her voice acting. It's very kind of Scottish accent to that. I really liked it. It's a bit odd at the same time being a Japanese game, but you know, I think it really went with her character, we'll say. But I did enjoy the game. I enjoyed it, but story a bit drawn out, like I said. Now, I do actually, I just remembered this. I probably should have said this more at the beginning, but there is something I need to note about the PS3 version of this game. So, PS3 is a region-free system, but this game is one. I think there's only like 3 titles that will ever like this, but this is one of the titles that is region-locked, because it was optional on the PS3 and almost nobody ever did it. But this was one of the few that was region-locked. So make sure you buy the version that is for your region. Now, the reason they did this is because all the versions are the same. They have English and Japanese and everything in them. So there's actually no unique cut stuff from any version. And apparently the reason, while I don't think I ever heard a confirmation, was always believed to be because they were afraid that countries that costed more would import. Like, I think at the time they were saying it would have been cheaper to import the American version to Japan and stuff like that. So they were concerned countries would import cheaper versions from another country and make the version they made available in their area sell bad. So that is what I've always heard most people agree upon being the reason, but I've never heard Atlas ever confirm the logistic reason on why they did that. Now, the sequel is not region locked, but because of that, they took out a lot of the language options, and we'll go into that stuff in that version. So if you're doing this on a PS3 version and you have an imported PS3, you need to make sure you're getting a version of this that matches with that system. So, but aside from that problem, which is more likely to affect more third area type countries that aren't like America, Japan, and that, like more smaller, bizarre countries, I feel like you shouldn't have a problem in, you know, Japan or America or Canada or more of the bigger European countries likely getting a version for your country. Just more the absurdly otherly, not, you know, just not the other big countries. But I recommend it if you want more story for the Persona, mostly from the perspective of the Persona 4 cast. Though it is interesting to see a few of the P3 cast and learn a little bit about what's been happening with them, because it's been several years. You know, they're young adults by this point in the story, so it's interesting to see on them, and they definitely build more on that in the sequel, but we'll talk about that when we get to the sequel. Overall, like I said, I think this is a good $30 value here, but you can get way cheaper, both new and used. So basically, if you want more Persona 4 story, I would definitely recommend it. But if you wanted an RPG, like your gameplay sense isn't, you care nothing about the story and you just want the RPG, totally skip. There's nothing. There is a semi-RPG mode in the sequel that we'll talk about, but this has nothing. 100% nothing RPG-ish like. So if you just want solely that, just skip this. But those are my thoughts on Persona 4 Arena, mainly story. Like I said, not too much detail into the fighting aspects of it, but the fighting is fun. You know, you just basically mix in your Persona into your fights and stuff. So I would say, like, the closest thing I'd compare it to is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That had a similar concept. I mean, hell, Persona is always been considered a whip-off of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, actually. But if you have any questions that you want to ask me about the game, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you felt like you learned anything interesting, please feel free to leave a like. If you feel like you learned nothing at all, because I didn't actually really talk about Arcade Mode, which has a story mode, that's because I never actually played it, feel free to leave a dislike, completely guilt-free, because I'm fast. But seriously though, Arcade Mode does have some kind of shortened story mode, because they just jump in and say a few lines, so I think it's just a very, very shortened version of the story mode, because the story mode that's in the console versions isn't in the arcade mode, in the arcade cabinet, so. But anywho, thank you for joining. Until next time, be safe out there in the proving grounds.
どうだった？私の作った朝ごはん。感想だよ。感想。そうか、そう